Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're gonna find out how bad this old i7-3770K platform will bottleneck the RTX 2080 Ti, and also give you an idea if this old platform can handle the new RTX 3070. But before that, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe down below, and thank you for watching. So before I get on with this review, please, I'd like to ask you for a small favor. Go ahead and hit the like button down below right now. And also, if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing and hit the bell notification. I really appreciate it. So let's get right to it. Now, this specific rig here is one of my collection pieces, and it's very near dear to me. I had this for a couple of years now, and it took me many years after this technology came out to get all the right parts, as I usually don't ever buy anything really brand new, and I like to collect the older systems, older platforms, because I feel like they still could hold their own, especially in 2020. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. So let me go over this build here, all the parts and all the tweaks that I did to get the best possible results, to see how well this thing holds up with the RTX 2080 Ti. And also, you'll notice in the title, in the parentheses, the RTX 3070. That's because from what we hear so far is that the new RTX 3070 that'll be coming out probably sometime in November or so is on par with the RTX 2080 Ti, but for a lot less. So this will give you an idea if your old platform could still keep up with these newer graphics cards. So let's get started. The platform here, once again, is the i7-3770K. It is now over 8 years old since it came out back in April of 2012. And in my opinion, if you have all the right parts and right tweaks, I think this is still a good system. And in my opinion, if it comes to gaming, you're really not going to want to upgrade still, as I feel that there isn't anything earth-shattering performance on the newer platforms when it comes to gaming. And that's what I'm going to show you. So what we have here is a BioStar TZ77XE3 motherboard. It's an excellent motherboard. It has two PCI Express 3.0 PCI slots. It's great for SLI, and you're really going to get as much as you can out of the newer graphics cards with this motherboard. As you know, the processor is 3770K, currently overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz. I'm running on the stock voltage, which is, I believe, 1.250. Anything higher, you would have to increase a little bit on the voltage, not much. And but as of now, it is stable and it's running really good. Also, I have 2 sticks of 8 gigabyte RAMs, each total for 16, running at 2400 megahertz. And that's very important if you're still rocking this old technology. And definitely recommend Z77 platform for the i7-3770K. I know some people are still maybe running it with the Z68 platform, but that's an older motherboard and it does not support the PCI Express 3.0 as well as this one. So, and when it comes to overclocking, I think it's a lot better. So it's a really good motherboard, and I think that's one of the keys to get the most out of the processor. And of course, the RAM definitely has to be 2400 megahertz to really get the most out of the graphics card for that high FPS. And that's really the key to this. Again, and the power supply here is the Rosewill 1000 watt semi-module 80 plus bronze. Definitely enough for the system here. Then for the cooling, we have the Lepa 240 millimeter radiator here. With the fans that I'm using here are Cougar fans all around. I have 4 120 millimeter LED, red LED ones on the left side, and the ones that I'm using for the radiator are also Cougar ones, the orange ones, and the RPWM fans, so you're gonna get the fan control that way. They're very nice. Also, I have the RGB LED strip here for that nice look, and this case is a very nice case. It's Rosewill Gungnir X case here. Very good looking case in my opinion. It does have the window panel on it all the way around for a nice look. I don't have it on because I'm showing you the insides, but in my opinion this is one of better cases for the budget price back in the day. And again, everything here is, you know, it's pretty old. It took me a while to get the right parts. I wanted to keep that orange look to it. The motherboard has a lot of orange on it, so does the fans. So yeah, that's pretty much it on the rig here. For the drives, I do have a 250 gigabyte Samsung 850 Evo SSD for the boot, and 1 terabyte Western Digital for the extra storage. Just a mechanical drive. All the games are going to be on a mechanical drive, and that's what I'll be going to be using to test out the games, which does not affect the performance, even, you know, since it's on the old drives. You know, the loading might be a little bit longer, but you're still going to get the same performance, if you're ever wondering if there is any performance in that, but there isn't. And for the graphics card here, I have the RTX 2080 Ti. Now this is a Dell version that came from the Alienware. This is the best card I have right now. Hopefully get my hands on the RTX 3080, which will be coming out soon. Then I'll review that too, and I'll review it with an old system like this. So if you have everything done correctly, you have a good overclock, powerful enough power supply, you know, good RAM, 2400 megahertz, very easy. And now you don't have to overclock this RAM. All you do is choose the XMP profile in this BIOS. It works like a charm. And the very last thing I forgot to mention here, and that's important, I am actually testing out the games right now with the HyperThread OFF. So we are going to be running all the test benchmarks with only 4 cores. Now, surprisingly enough, I was able to get better results with just 4 cores HyperThread disabled. And also, if you're having temperature issues when you're overclocking, by disabling HyperThread does lower your temperatures if your system is running a bit hot. And that's another thing that I found out. So weirdly enough, I was able to get phenomenal performance, and I'm going to show you in detail once I get into these gaming test benchmarks. I was surprised that I was getting very similar results to like some of the best Intel processors that are out now, like a 9900K at 4K resolution. We're pretty much getting exact the same results as from what I'm seeing, doing some research on YouTube from what everybody else running a 9900K and the RTX 2080 Ti for some of the modern games. And that's very surprising. It really shows me that when it comes to the processor stuff, gaming, I really don't feel like the technology is so far has changed much from 8 years ago. You know, so that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. So without further ado, let's get into some gaming test benchmarks, and I'm gonna go in detail. I'm gonna try to do 1080p and 4K resolution, and we're gonna get to the nitty-gritty. And without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so the first game I'm going to test out is Horizon Zero Dawn. This is a pretty tough game to run. Not the best optimized out there, I'm sure you're well aware. And we're going to start off with 1080p. I'm going to go over all my settings here, so let's get started. 1080p full screen, VSync off. And we are on the ultra presets, everything high, only motion blur off. Just want to make sure you guys see this. This is the highest settings, except motion blur off. Does not affect the graphics look. Always recommend this option off. And these are the kind of frame rates you're here to expect. Now I really don't see a bottleneck here at all. Now let's go over everything I have here. Once again, I am using a RTX 2080 Ti. This is a blower edition. Some of you may have a much better version with 2 fans, and that's why you hear that loud noise, loud fan noise in the background. Unfortunately, when it comes to these turbo versions of the RTX 2080 Ti, the blower editions, you are gonna have to turn that fan up. I have it running at 55%, and the MSI afterburner to keep good temperatures. You can raise it up higher, it will be a lot louder. But yeah, unfortunately, that's something you're gonna have to do. Doesn't matter if it's a brand new card or used. And that's why I wish I had the dual fan version for it to be a lot quieter and run cooler, but it does its trick. Then we have the i7-3770K clocked at 4.5 gigahertz, and once again, HyperThread disabled. I am getting better results just running with 4 cores. Yes, that's right. So if you guys having some bottleneck issues or overheating issues when you're overclocking, I do recommend disabling HyperThread. Now, yes, everybody is going to say, oh, look, your CPU usage is at 100%, bottleneck, but that's not true at all. What I'm finding out in a lot of the games, even though you're running at 100%, just look at the average frame rates. Keep your eye on that and compare it to some of the more modern platforms, i7's, whatever, 9700K or 9900K. Just look at that. That's what you want to look at. You want to look at the average FPS, even though it's at 100%. That's not always necessarily true that the games are held back. Some of them maybe that do require more than 4 cores, maybe a little bit, but I'm not really having that issue at all. And that's what I want to show you, that the old technology is still quite relevant today. So we are running around 128 FPS average. Now that's going to change as we move around. Running very smooth, no issues. Let's see how it looks like with the bats coming up here. Yep, pretty good. Now you'll notice during my tests here, some of my temperatures on the CPU are going to be a little bit high. Now I overclocked this bad boy. I had this for a while, so. And also think about it, it's an 8-year-old processor. You've been overclocking, you had it for a while. Definitely a good candidate to delid. Put some of that new thermals in there. And something in the future I definitely might want to do, especially with this processor. I just really love the 3770K. It's so relevant, and some of you guys who have this platform from 8 years ago, you know what I'm talking about. I'm showing it to you here today. There is no bottleneck. Now you might get a little bit more FPS with some of the higher end CPUs, just a little bit. So it is what it is. It looks beautiful. Okay, so now let's jump into the 4K setting really quick here before I jump into the next game. Okay, there it is. Apply, yes, yes. Again, there it is. Same settings, ultra, everything maxed out. And there it is. Now, of course, you notice when you watch my videos, majority of them are going to be recorded with the camera. I don't want to lose any FPS. I want you to get the true feeling. This is what you're going to get if you have everything right, running correctly. You're going to get good results. Now, you've noticed the temperature will drop on the processor when we're at the higher resolution, and that's normal. That's what you want. And again, we're, you know, averaging close to 60 FPS. We probably will hit that at certain areas. And again, when I reviewed some of the tests of this game in 4K with like the 9900K processor clocked to 5.0 on all cores, RTX 2080 Ti, you get an exact the same frame rates, 60 FPS average or so on 4K with this game. So what is... And again, I'm not saying nothing bad about the 9900K. It's a beautiful processor. I actually have it. I am going to be building a nice platform with that. Just looking for the right motherboard right now. We'll see when I get my hands on that and see if I could get higher FPS with all the same settings here.
There's something shiny.
You see it here today. No no bottleneck. Yes, some games you will see the bottleneck, but this one, no. Runs smooth, runs beautiful. So, as you noticed, you've seen the new RTX 3080s out now being tested, and you see the biggest performance leap is in 4K. So in my conclusion, I think we will get very similar results with this old platform if we put the 3080 on the 4K resolution. So this game would like run around 80 to 90 FPS on ultra settings and 4K. So that's what we're seeing so far. I think somewhere around there. So I'm pretty certain that's what I'm here to expect, and I will get a chance to test that out later on, hopefully this month. Alright, so that's it for this game. On to another one. Let's see what kind of results we get. Alright, so here we have Control, yet another difficult game to run. It's very graphically intensive, and I was able to get some really good results once again. So let's take a look at the settings. We're going to start off at, once again, at 1080p. Full screen, and on the highest preset right there, everything maxed out. That's the way it is. Of course, I'm not doing ray tracing at all, but that's the high preset, the highest preset. Everything is on right here. And this is what we're looking at here. These are the numbers. Once again, running on only 4 cores, getting the best results that way out of the I7-3770K. Running very nice. And hopefully soon I will get to test out the i5-7600K, which was the very last generation i5 that had 4 cores. And that one should be easily clocked to 4.8 to 5.0 gigs, and we'll see how well that performs. I would assume it would perform better than this thing here. I think it's got a lot of juice, and we'll put it to the test. Still, in my opinion, an i5-7600K platform, if you have that, it's more than enough. Listen, everybody got on YouTube everybody got different kind of benchmarks, and the numbers are all over the place. Everybody's got, some people got a lot better results, others don't. I'm here to tell you like it is. You know, there's really not necessary to upgrade. If you have a nice Intel platform, I7-3770K, I7-4790K, and I remember when after a couple of years, each time these platforms come out, people just get rid of them. They want to jump into like 4790K. People wanted to jump into 6700K, so they sell the old 4790K for really cheap. And then, you know, you jump into 6700K, and there's really not a difference. You know, you get all the tweaks. This performance is very minuscule. You know, like it's really no point. Yeah, so we're getting pretty good results. And again, take a look at the other benchmarks and see what kind of average you're getting with the higher end processors and the RTX 2080 Ti, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's really not worth it.
Federal Bureau of Control. All these years I've been looking for them, and they were hiding in plain sight. Hello? Hey, excuse me.
There you are. Well, here about the job. Janitors, you need to go that way to the toilet.
Got it.
Aivan, you work for. Okay.
I've done enough night shift loner jobs to know it makes us come off weird.
Alright, now let's go to 4K.
Auntie the janitor is a friendly face in my book.
Better than somebody with no face at all. Think about it. No face.
But that said, I know what you're thinking.
Now that looks about right.
Murder around.
I have not seen any of the, again, newer processors with RTX 2080 Ti hitting this game on 4K at 60 FPS on the ultra settings, on the highest settings. So that looks about right. We're in high 40s,
Will you help?
about the same that you're gonna get with any other processor that's out today. So that is the conclusion on Control. Again, I don't see any bottlenecks. You guys let me know. Maybe I'm wrong.
On my mind, my baby brother, Dylan. 17 years since the men of this bureau took him.
It does look beautiful. I like how the wall looks here. It's beautiful.
We're starting from the top.
Now at least finally with the RTX 3080 we could hit 60 FPS in this game. I mean, they really keep us on the edge. Let's see if I got open. Oh yeah.
Shit.
Each time they make some of these newer games, it's just harder and harder to get running on 60 FPS on 4K. It's a bit ridiculous if you ask me.
Oh, look at this place. Where am I?
Of course, you could tweak the settings, lower some things down, and yeah, you'll definitely get 60 FPS. Now in this part of the game, you're more closer to 60 FPS because the background is a bit simpler, and that makes sense. So certain areas you are gonna get, 60 FPS here.
same guy.
Very nice. As you can see, the temperatures are good.
Now I have a gun.
Alright, so that concludes Control. On to the next game. Alright, so here we have Resident Evil 3 Remake. Now this one, of course, you're going to get a lot more FPS. This is a well-optimized game, and it is beautiful. Now, let's go over the settings here and see if there's any bottleneck. We are on max setting. Everything is maxed out on 1080p. As you could see, we're about 2 gigs over the threshold here. Every option is maxed out, except motion blur is off. Even this upscaling option is on. That's a FPS killer. Let's see what we got here. There it is. As you can see, we have no issues with the FPS. We're running very good. Pretty much on par with any of the latest platforms, either Intel or Ryzen. When it comes to this game, it runs really good with this old system. And that's what I want to show you. You know, if you get everything right, you get all the right settings, you really know how to use the platform correctly. A lot of people, you know, out there may have had this for a year or two, and then they're like, oh, you know what, let me just change it to something new. But I think it's really unnecessary, as the results that I'm getting are phenomenal. That's right, you see it here. Running real smooth, maxed out with the RTX 2080 Ti.
We're survivors. Gotta get that train moving.
Oh, nice. That's like a bonus shot there. Alright, so let's jump into 4K and wrap up the test for this game. Okay, there it is. Once again, we are on the maxed out preset. Just to show you that there's no funny business here. And now we're about 3 gigs over the threshold, but no problem for a graphics card like this. And yeah, that's what you're about to expect with any other platform. Average FPS around 80 to 90. Higher in more of the closed areas. This is a good spot to test out the performance because there's a lot going on at once. Oh no. And that's what I was saying, when you're in the closed area, you are going to get, you know, above 100 FPS and 4K maxed out. No problem here at all. Well, there you have it. On to the last game. Alright, so finally we're at the end of the video. The last game I'm going to test here is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And finally conclude this test here. So these are the settings I'm running here. DirectX 11, very important. 1080p full screen. And we're on the ultra settings with motion blur off. Pretty much everything is maxed out. This is what I've seen, the settings from the other benchmarks that I've seen on the YouTube. To compare them, I wanted to make it pretty much equal. And that's what we're looking at here. On 1080p, running pretty smooth. Again, we're getting really good frame rates, and they're gonna vary. It depends in certain areas, but definitely no issues here at all.
Don't worry. Go. The readings at the site are unlike anything you've ever seen. So keep to our next phase. If this is it, we'll be good.
You know, in my opinion, if you still have the system, you're definitely not really missing out on anything new out there. You're getting plenty of frame rates. You're getting a really good experience with these latest graphics cards. Again, hopefully I'll get my hands on the RTX 3080 soon, and I will make a review on that, of course, with a newer platform, and maybe I'll get a chance to put it on this old rig too, and see what kind of performance we can get. But as you could see, you know, we are getting good frame rates. Not, you know, I'm sure you might get a little bit better with the newer platforms when it comes to this game, but I really don't see much of a bottleneck. Now let's switch over to the 4K resolution to wrap this up. Alright, so now we are around 60 FPS in this area. Sometimes it'll go higher. Depends on the area of the board. But again, that's, you know, pretty much what you expect with the RTX 2080 Ti on the ultra settings when it comes to this game. Remember that the 1080 Ti was struggling to hit, you know, the 60 FPS on ultra on a lot of these games, and that's when the 2080 Ti came in play. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you see a bottleneck here? Once again, we are running with HyperThread OFF, only on 4 cores, and I'm getting really good results. Let me know what you think. I know in a lot of the areas we're at 100% CPU usage, but the game is running really good. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Give me your opinion. I really appreciate it. So that's about it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.
I know this figure. Isha, the goddess of the full moon. Oh, and there's this shack, the moon. Got to make my way down.